Thank you, Madam Speaker. To the bill.
To the bill.
Colleagues, there is a better way, but the consequences of this bill are layoffs, lost hours, and rising costs for all our neighbors. This isn't hypothetical. There will be real impact on real people. Direct cost estimates from an increase in the minimum wage, according to the Legislative Fiscal Office report, indicates a direct cost of approximately $23 million to schools per biennium at $13.50, and approximately $52 million per biennium to schools when it reaches $15 per hour. The result, as many as 1,189 teaching positions, 2,390 classified positions, those are your teaching assistants and special education paraprofessionals, as many as 14,857 coaches and advisory positions. An unintended consequence from a proposal full of risk. Those more than likely affected by future layoffs or reduction of hours will include school lunch staff, library assistants, custodians, special education assistants, student workers, tutors, coaches, and advisors. And the hiring of new, young, and innovative teachers simply won't exist. I'd like to share a quote with you from a superintendent that I received in my district. If the minimum wage passes, we would have to cut positions to accommodate this new wage increase. Another quote from another superintendent, this will impact our decisions to hire and retain classified staff within our district. That's your lunch staff, your library assistants, your teacher's assistants, your special education assistants. Even though Representative Fagan indicated in committee that these concerns raised around this bill are simply hypothetical, this is not hypothetical. These are the words from people who are working in districts with the boots on the ground that are serving in superintendent positions who will make the decisions, if this bill passes, whether or not these people will be laid off or have lost hours. That is not hypothetical. That is real, straight truth from the mouths of the people that will make the decisions. LFO's research also concluded that the hit to universities for an increase to $15 per hour was estimated at $75 million per biennium. An increase to $13.50 would hit community colleges at approximately $9 million per biennium. The hit to universities and community colleges will primarily be from the increased costs and wages from student workers. This is from the LFO report. The report points out, and I quote, "In general, an increase in wages for student workers is likely to reduce other assistance the students receive, including federal aid. The result, a reduction of available funds to students. Another unintended consequence to students from a risk-filled proposal. Increasing the minimum wage is also likely to decrease the amount of federal aid awarded to students wanting to attend college. The LFO report says, and I quote, "This may adversely impact students' ability to qualify for work-study jobs." I have college students around my house all the time, and I listen to them, many of them, who are receiving federal aid and state aid and are on work-study programs, and they are struggling to make it every day. And they face risk factor after risk factor because of that. We say we have a goal of 40-40-20. I don't see how we can have that goal any longer if we continue to put our students at risk. Let's go back to our youngest and our most vulnerable. Federal funding comes to our students through reimbursement of school lunches. It's likely that those families now qualifying for free reduced lunch will no longer qualify under the federal guidelines. Now, I know as well as you that we passed legislation in the last session that basically gives all students free lunch. However, that was under the assumption that school districts will still be reimbursed for those costs at the federal level. Another hit will come to schools through the lack of eligibility to qualify for the school breakfast programs, after school and at-risk meal programs, and summer food service programs. We just worked to pass legislation that allows to increase summer programs, and the children that come to these programs need food. These aren't just children that are in poverty situations. These are children who come from homes with many, many different risk factors, not just poverty. It isn't the fact that some of them have food or don't have food in their homes. It's the fact that they don't come prepared because they don't have the ability to be prepared.
Representative Barreto yields his time. Please continue.
As I said, we just worked to pass legislation that puts summer programs for kids first. And many of those students who will be attending do need food, not just for poverty situations, like I said, but simply risk factors that don't allow them to come prepared with food to eat. Trust me, I've run after-school programs and summer programs, and our most vulnerable students need to be fed during these programs. These are federal dollars. The qualifications for these dollars will not change just because we change the minimum wage. We all know state government certainly doesn't dictate to federal government. Again, this is another unintended consequence from a risk-filled proposal. It's noted that eligibility for pre-K programs in the LFO report, including Head Start, Relief Nurseries, Healthy Families Oregon, and Child Care and Development Fund vouchers also could be impacted. Again, these programs receive federal funding, and based upon relative income qualifications, these could damage the program we hold most dear for our youngest and most vulnerable. We have invested as a state in early learning and pre-K initiatives. We choose to make it a priority, and now we are choosing to put it all at risk. Another unintended consequence from a risk-filled proposal. If this bill passes, we could be failing a generation of students, the very ones we say we're intending to help. Again, an unintended consequence from a risk-filled proposal. I urge a no vote.